Okay, so done. So what I'll do is I'll run it till my select statement so that I know that, oh, yeah, the table got created and everything looks fine. So just run the first and everything looks fine and there is my table, right? So I ran the script, not the whole script because there is more to come. I ran the script starting from the beginning till where I did a select statement. And please remember to put a select statement for me if you don't, and it said in the assignment, and I still see students are missing it. Like if you don't give me a select statement, one, of course, you're going to lose marks. And two, how am I going to see was your table created? Like I have to see the data, whether it got created or not. Okay. So don't forget your one simple select statement. Two, a few things in the purpose. Again, just a feedback so that you have it. Please see that it is complete. And it's so simple. If you kind of think of it, it's a copy and a paste. To create a database with a table therein that stores information about, all you have to do is students or drinks or employees or donuts or whatever, right? Then query the data in the table because you're doing select statements and perform updates and deletes in the table. I mean, if you were doing it, not in your assignment one, but at least say query the data in the table, and then of course you are going to show it. So query means select statements. That's what query means, right? Query the data in the table and display it. But that's kind of, it's understood. And then perform updates and deletes. The perform part could be ignored, but this is also missing in many. But you do have a select statement. You did select from it. You could say, oh, shall I also say that I populated the table? You can kind of say it and populate it with it, but I don't need to see the name of the table, the field names of the table, and so on. I don't need to. Then you'll have to keep changing it in everything. It's just a normal, simple one. I mean, all you have to do is copy and paste, change information about whom, right? And it's 1 mark. How long does it take? 1 minute, right? Okay, so to create a table with a table therein that stores information employees, and as I said, you can add, you can say and populate it with data. I mean, it's not a big deal. Query the data in the table and display it. So purposes are kind of here and there, and again, grammatical mistakes are kind of visible. Spelling mistakes, I can see many spelling mistakes. I can see grammatical mistakes. I mean, it's just not done. If you do spelling mistakes, it's not giving a good impression about you to anybody, to me, to your employer. So remember to do that and be very careful in your resumes also. Grammatically, you have to be very careful. The advisory committee guys tell us that your students are careless when they give us their resumes because they don't, I mean, they don't even bother to pass it through a spell checker. How difficult it is. We have Word, right? And then there is something called grammatically or something. I've seen students using it. Just write something. I mean, resumes are important. Here, it's a comments. It's not a big deal, but at the end of the day, it will improve your grammar. Okay, so see that you do the things the right way. Okay, now let's start our select statement. So I've kind of written the select statement in comments because you've seen it before. Select a field list. It could be the complete field list from the table. The rest are all optional, but we've done it. Where a condition, simple or compound, order by a field or field names, we've done that. Limit, how many, offset, and how many, right? So we've done all this. Now, so what are we going to do today? A few more. So we'll do a few easy ones, but my main aim is to show you the date ones and introduce you to a couple of more verbs. So, and then if there is something you need to see or understand for an assignment, look it up. How do I do this in my SQL or in SQL, and you should have the answer. But I'm giving you ideas. So it says a list of all the employee names. So a list of all the employee names. So all employee names only. So employee name, just for information, so that you don't have to keep going back. It was called employee name. I have the field names with me, okay? And the job description. It was called job description. If you like, you can give them names. You can call it, remember we said we could give them better names. Better names in the sense, grammatically better names. You can call employee name as, you can use the word as, you needn't use the word as. Both are allowed, but I would put them in single quotes and not even worry about it, because single words don't need quotes, but otherwise you do need quotes. It's just better what to, like, why even to think about it, just put it in quotes. And now it says that's it, there's no condition. So that's all I want from you. Select the name and their job description. So simple, nothing much to be done. I should have their answer, and there it is. But notice the display names, how the display name is called employee name and job description. It's not called employee underscore name and job underscore description. The names of all the managers. That means this person is a manager. How will you find out if a person is a manager? From his job description, right? So select the name. I mean, we can put the job description just to be sure, but then we'll remove it. Where the job description is a manager. And just to be on the safe side of extra blanks and so on and so forth, I'll just trim it. Though by default, if you have trailing blanks are removed by default, just for your information. Trailing blanks are removed by default, just so that you know. Not the leading ones. Now comes the question, do I do an exact match? She's saying manager, but what about senior manager, sub-manager, manager? I didn't say anything, right? But of course, I will be very specific. In an assignment or in an exam, I'll be very specific. I'll say all kind of managers. So there, instead of equal to, you will use like, and you will use the wildcard character. As long as the word manager occurs, you will do it. Please be careful about exact match and inexact matches. Exact match is equal, no wildcard characters. Inexact match, like, and definitely wildcard characters. If you try to do a like without a percentage or underscore, it's not going to give you any answer. Okay, it's not going to give you any answer. So be careful about that. So where do I use exact and where do I use inexact? Nothing was mentioned here. So what do I do? Shall I just do it and then kind of let it go? But as I said, I will be more careful. So notice this person will come up. I'm not sure how many managers we have. So there are 3 persons, and notice how the trailing blanks were automatic. So it's comparing, but this manager didn't have blanks. In the data, there were no blanks, but here I had blanks. But these trailing blanks are ignored, not the leading ones. Try it with leading ones. I don't see any manager. So leading blanks are not ignored. Trailing blanks are ignored. So what have I said? Whenever you compare with a string, just use the trim function. That way, if you kind of put any extra blanks before or after, leading or trailing, they're automatically removed before it is done. And just for your information, again, if you've forgotten, this search is case insensitive. It doesn't depend. The case is not important unless you make it important by using the collat verb. Otherwise, it is case insensitive. So you can write the manager, capital M, small a, whatever. It really doesn't matter, right? Be very careful about exact matches and inexact matches. I'm emphasizing it over and over again because students make this mistake all the time, right? So, and I'll always say do an exact match, or I'll make it clear all kind of managers. But don't go and peek in the data. Don't say, oh, there is only one kind of manager, so I'll use equal to manager. Don't do that, because I don't want you to go and peek in the data. You shouldn't be peeking in the data. That's not how it goes. Okay. So I will tell you in my assignment or in the query, what do I want from you? So if I haven't said anything, then you can always clarify, but I won't make that mistake. This is classwork. I'm doing it in class with you, so I'm clarifying it for you. So that's all we want. Now, do we need to see the job description? No, we didn't need to. But when you saw it, you saw they were all managers. So you kind of double checked, oh, my answer is right. Once you can double check, you can put whatever fields you like to double check your answer. I don't mind it. But only give me what I've asked for. Okay, so I've only asked for the names. Give me the names. So that works. Names of all employees who do not have a manager. So the person who does not have a manager means what? That his manager does not exist. And we know that when we were talking about the table structure, we said that if his manager does not exist, then the manager number, the field is called manager number, is null. There is the use of null. So I'm saying pick up all those employees who do not have a manager. And we have already kind of made this rule, or not the rule, this understanding of the client with the programmer, that if an employee does not have a manager, the manager field will be null. So we are saying is null. Please again remember, we don't say equal to null. We say is null. Right? So you can make a note for yourself. Again, a common mistake. Very common mistake, and it will work. Like the equal will work, but you just won't have an answer. You will have an empty table. So I think there was only one person, the king, who was the president, didn't have a manager. So there is his name. Right? Now, if for whatever reason you make this equal, which is incorrect, there's no syntax error. I don't see any red squiggly. But if I run it again, I don't have an answer. Now, sometimes you may not have an answer. No records may be matching it. But here it is incorrect. So seeing an empty table doesn't mean, oh, my answer is wrong. Sometimes maybe something doesn't exist. But you have to double check. So you always double check. So using equal is incorrect because it just doesn't work. So syntactically it was okay, but logically it was incorrect. The names and hire date. So let's now look at this date variable. This is new for you. How to work with fields that have hire dates involved with it. And how do you work with them in this sense? They're not text, I said. And I said they're not numbers. So how do I work with them? Names and the hire date of all those employees who were hired after 1981. So I don't know, 1982, 83, 84, I don't know. And I don't want you to go and peek in the data to say, oh, there are only 81 and 82, let me say is equal to 82. I have no clue. So I've said, don't peek in the table. You have no clue of other hiring dates. We have no clue when they were hired. All the information that is being given to me is give me the name and people who were hired after 1981. That's all. So let's write it. So I need to select the name and the hire date. Now let's look at something new because we haven't done it. Again, you don't have to give display names, but display names makes it a little easier to read. Remember, they're just display names. Now comes the where condition. Now keep in mind, dates are not text and dates are not numbers. You will not use like. You will not say where they were hired after 1981. You won't say where date is greater than or like. It's not. You'll have to kind of work with dates like dates. Okay. So if the people were hired after 1981, that means their hiring date was more than 31st of December 1981. Right? Or in other words, greater than equal to 1st January 1982. So all those people were hired after 1981. So how do we write it? How do we do it? We'll say where the hire date. And now we have to be careful. We will use the relational operators, but on the right hand side, we just don't say this. Where hire date is greater than equal to 1981, 82, the 1st of January. That's not how we write it. Because what's the right hand? The right hand is a text data. And what is left hand data? It's a date data. So you're comparing a date type with a text type. Unfortunately, MySQL will work sometimes. You may have correct answers. But again, the aim is we don't think about what may or may not work. We will say what will work. All you have to do is this. Take this text data and cast it. You've heard of casting? Changing one type to another and cast it as a date. Job done. Now compare it. So you will not use dates, literals, like as if they were text data or even they were numbers. So you can write it this way. This is one way of writing it. You could write it this way. That's another way of writing it. You can change your greater than equal to greater than. You can say 1981. The month is 12. The date is 31st. You can also write it this way. You can cast, you can remove your dashes altogether, but you still have to cast it as a date. Here. So you can use it as a number. You can use it with dashes. I'm almost positive you can use it with slashes, but you always have to cast it as a date and then compare it. So why did I do a higher date greater here? Because it's greater than 31st of December 81. Why did I do a greater than equal to? Because I wanted to include January 1st. So it depends on you whether you want to use the greater than equal to, whether you want to use the greater than. But all comparisons with date have to be dates literals. And how do you make a literal as a date literal? Cast it as a date. Right? So I don't want dates should be used as dates. So a date is not text. You can make a note for yourself. Date is not text. Or numeric. It is a date type. It is not text or numeric data. But don't treat it like a number or text data. Treat it like a date variable. So if you have to compare it with something, and this is a literal I'm comparing, so you will be convert literals. Literal means constants. Or instead of saying convert, let's say cast literals to date types before using them. Okay, makes sense? So this is how you will do it. If you don't, you're going to lose marks. So I will in my assignment or my exam say, please cast your dates, but that's how you do it. Use whatever format you like, dashes or slashes or as a number, but don't use them as text or date. You have to kind of cast them into date and then compare them. You can use any comparison operator, equal to, not equal to, or whatever. Clear? Am I clear about this? Don't forget about it. Okay? Don't forget, it's important. This way you're safe. You're not even thinking, oh, will it work? Will it not work? Okay, now it says the names and hire dates of all employees that were hired in 1981. That's all. Only 1981. So let's see, what do I need to do? So people who were hired in 1981 definitely means from January 1981 to December of 1981. So what will I do? Date should be greater than the 1st of January and less than 31st of January or 31st of December. These people were hired in 1981. These people were hired in 1981. So cast is, it is greater than this and hire date is less than this. Normal as you would do with anything else. Right? So the date should be greater than 81, January 1st, 1981, and it should be less than or equal to 31st of December, 1981. Make sense? Of course, you've seen another form. Remember your between? Please remember, between is an exact match. It exactly matches. You can't use wildcard characters with between. For your information, between will work because I have to include both dates. And just so that you know, because it will come up in the assignment today, between is an exact match. Between is like, oh, sorry, is like equal to. You can't use wildcard characters with it. So what does it do? It kind of, it's just like normal. So if I say between 4 and 5, and they were floating numbers, it will start with 4 and then 4 point whatever, point whatever, point whatever, and it will end at 5, including 5. But between is an exact match. That's something you have to keep in mind so that you don't use wildcard characters with it. I'm forewarning you because in the in-class assignment today, you will have a question based on between, where you will have to kind of do it. Okay. So I've used the between here, just so that you know there is another way. And I'm going to show you that other way because it's an easy way. You can use the year function on your hire date, and now the year returns a number. So I'm saying, okay, if the year of the hire date is 1981, then it is these employees were hired in 1981. So if there is an year function, there should be a month function, there should be a day function. So there are date functions. And you'll say, how will I know? No big deal. Go and search for it. They're all listed in the manual, right? So please get in the habit of going to the manual. All you will say is date functions in MySQL. This is the same way like you would look for string functions. And here is the reference manual, which I don't know from where it is. You could go to the W3 schools. That's a good site too. You could go to Tutorials Point. That's also not bad. I usually stick to my documentation of my ref. Oh, no, not this one. Oops, not this one. The MySQL one. But here, let's look at it. Here is date and time function. So I've used, see how there is an hour when you are using a time variable. So there is a minute. So here is the month. So there should be an year too. There is the year. So it says returns the year for date in the range 1000 to 999 or 0 for the zero date. What is the zero date? All zeros is called the zero date. That's its default value. So that's what it returns. It returns you the year for date. So your date variable, it should be a date variable. Now they haven't casted it, but again, this is not the official website, but I would always cast my dates. If you go and read in the manual in MySQL, it will recommend it highly. So I told you it will work. I'm not saying it will not work, but I'm just cautioning you to do the right thing. Year of the week, you can find out the year of the week and so on. So there are many functions that are associated with date. So why not, right? Why use it as a number or as text? And why should I use a date as a number or a text? An year is an year. It has a type. We don't call 1981 is a number. We say 2018 is the year, right? That's what we call it. How do we refer to it? The year. What year is it? 2018. Which year were you born in? 1998. We always call it year. So there is the year type. So don't assume it to be text. Don't assume it to be number. But this was just telling you that functions exist for date types as they do for string types, as they do for other types. So use them when required. Okay. So again, notice how I'm casting every date I use. And that's highly recommended in the manual and makes sense to me too. It's not text, it's not a number. Just cast it into the way you want it. And it returns an year. So all you do is 1981 normally, it's just an year. List of the names and commission of all employees that have earned a commission. That means these persons had a commission. They made a commission. So here is where I would like to kind of you to pay attention. They have earned a commission. Earned a commission means the commission is greater than 0. I want to show their name and I want to show their commission. Oh. Oops. Maybe press some key that I shouldn't have, but anyway, let's see. It's doing something forever. Come on. And I don't think I've saved it even. Shoot. Oh God. Okay, Messi not responding. No. Wait for the program to respond. I haven't saved it. But I'll just have to take it to 6 and do it. Oh God. Seems like can't do much about it. So we were at 6. I didn't even run it. So if you don't run it, then, oh, oops. No, that's not it. Oh, that's not bad. Okay, let's save it there. It didn't go anywhere. So commission. The list of the names and the commission of all employees that have earned a commission. They have earned a commission. I'm not saying defined or undefined. I'm just talking normal English. They have earned a commission. They have a commission. So if they have a commission, all I want is, okay, let me know people who have earned a commission. So I say commission is greater than 0. Let's see if it works. So there may be people, there may not be. Null is automatically not even counted. Oops, error. No database selected. Oh, because I kind of lost the connection. I'll kind of run it again. I have to run it again. There is no active database. When it says no database in use, that means the connection was lost, which it was. So I just have to look at the last answer. There it is. So these people have earned a commission. Right? The null guy is not even in the picture at all. It's not even a comparison. Nulls are not compared. The only way you can do comparisons with null is null and is not null. So when you write a statement like is greater than 0, it's only looking for not null values. Okay? Null is not assumed to be 0 anyway. And you can double check. You can say greater than equal to 0, for example, just for the heck of it. See, null never comes up. Null is not part. It's not defined. So null is not 0. Okay, keep that in mind. So if I've said they've earned a commission, all I'm saying is, okay, it should be greater than 0. So null has to be kind of dealt with a little separately. Keep that in mind. Okay, let's go to the next one. This was an easy one, so I typed it in. Names and salaries of all employees that earn at least 5,000. At least means greater than equal to. So where salary is greater than equal to. Simple ones I kind of put it in. Names and job descriptions of salaries of all employees that earn between 1,000 and 2,000 inclusive. And it says, give me 2 solutions. Oh, is it something else I've picked up? No, it's okay. So you know the 2 solutions. One, you use your greater than equal to and less than equal to. And last week we did the between. Remember, inclusive means they are both included. And between automatically includes them. So you cannot use between if you say, oh, I don't want to include my limits. Keep that in mind. So between can be only used when you want to include your limits. And I repeat again, they are exact matches. You can't say salary like something or name like Anju. Like you can do that. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So this again, just a refresher from what you had done last week. Names and salaries of all clerks. Simple. Give me their names, give me their salary. Job description is clerk. Simple one. People that have no commission. Again, please, I'm not saying no defined commission. I'm saying no commission. No commission means commission is equal to 0. So when you see the word defined or not defined, then think, oh, she's talking about null and not null. Otherwise, normal. Don't bang your head against anything, right? It's very clear. Now let's look at the other one. This is something you may have not seen before, but one way you have. Find the names, the job description for anybody who is either a manager or an analyst or a salesman. Give 2 different solutions. The first one should be clear to you. You've done or. So I'm saying the job description is manager, or it is an analyst, or it is a salesman. Remember, you have to repeat the field name every time, and I'm doing an exact match here. It was just not mentioned, anything was not mentioned, and because we know from the data, though I said don't peek in the data, we know in the data that there is only manager, there are not any sub-managers, senior managers, and so on. So we'll keep to this. Now the second solution that I want you to see, which you haven't seen, is this. So you could copy it if you like, but we'll have to make changes. And it's very intuitive. In. So you can give a list if you want. You can repeat data, though you won't repeat it. But I found out you can give it more than once. In the sense, analyst can be written twice and it doesn't complain, which I don't like. But anyway, can't do much about it. I can change it into a set and do it, but here. So all you're saying is, as long as the job description is in this list, I'm good to go. Oops, the select statement went to a different line. There. So instead of saying this or this or this or this, there's an easy way. Just say in. Right? So in is allowed. It is a verb that is available in MySQL. All it does is it checks that set. I don't call it set because set elements have to be unique. I just call it a list or a group. And it says, are you in that list? Yeah, you are. You're okay. So that saves you from saying this or this or this, which is more typing. And I think in is more intuitive. Like in English, are you in class? Right? You know what I mean? So that way. So that's something you haven't seen before. And on the other hand, list the names and job description of employees who is neither a salesman nor a clerk. So anybody but a salesman or a clerk. So he's not a salesman, he's not a clerk, and not an or. You can use the not operators like this. I'm going to give you 3 more solutions. The first one, something that we just did, and I'll use not in. They're not in this set. So the salesman is not. Oops. My bad. My bad. And remember, if you don't give any codes, then it assumes, oh, it's a field name, and it will look for salesman as a field name. So without quotes, if you give text data without quotes, it thinks it's a variable, it's a field name or a variable. Variables are also defined, which you will do in your second course. I mean, they are variables, but we haven't used any variables yet. But field names we have, it will assume that it is a field name. There, not in. Opposite of in. Now something else. Using the Boolean operator, not. So when you use the Boolean operator, please remember that the not comes with the field. You can write it this way also. You can say select the name and the description of all those people where not job description is salesman and not job description is equal to clerk. So this is Boolean operator not. Please, they are different from the relational operator not equal to in their two forms. And I can write it another way actually. So you should be aware of all this because you may need it. I can put the not outside. I can change the and to an or. And this will also work. I'm doing a not of the compound condition. I hope from your programming fundamental days, you haven't forgotten your operators. The not operator is a Boolean operator. All it does is negate the value of an expression. So I'm saying job description is a salesman or a clerk. So you're basically looking for people who are either salesman or clerk, and then you're doing a not of it. So definitely they cannot be salesmen and they cannot be clerks. Right? Makes sense? In this one, so I've taken a condition, a compound condition, and then the answer I'm negating it. Negating it in the sense I'm saying don't look for them. So definitely you're looking for anybody who is not a salesman or a clerk. In this one, the difference is so with operators, with Boolean operators, you have to be a little careful because you have to kind of think a little, right? Here I haven't done not, I've done not separately. So he's not a salesman and he's not a clerk. So you could use not with the fields and then you have to use an and. You could use not with the expression, but then keep in mind, I don't put an and here. And it will be wrong anyway. Can the job description be salesman and the clerk? No, that cannot happen at all. Like that's incorrect anyway. So you can put an and there anyway. It's like saying my name is Anju and my name is John. Can't happen. So when you're writing your queries, especially when you use ands and ors, think about it. What is being asked and does it make sense? So putting an and here is absolutely incorrect because I'm saying job description is equal to salesman and job description is equal to clerk. How can that ever happen? Right? Because each job description only has one value. There's no repeating data in it. Right? So I put a not before it. So I'm saying, okay, so are you a salesman? Are you a clerk? Okay, so you are in that list. Now I'm doing a not of it. I only want to pick you up if you're not in that list. But here I did a not separately. You're not a salesman and you're not a clerk. And I still have to use and. This one not in, very intuitive. You're saying you're not in this set. This one using the relational operators not equal to, and they should all give you the same answer. So let's run it. And all answers should be same. So you have 5 tables. None of them you should see a salesman or a clerk. So president, 2 analysts, and 3 managers. Same, 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 and same. There it is. Make a mess somewhere, and of course you won't get a right answer. I mean, try to of course, I mean, logically think about it first, but again, we are programmers. We may think and then we may put a wrong verb, and it happens. And ors are always confusing. Sometimes they confuse me too. I always have to rethink. I always have to double think when I use it. I write it and then I always say, okay, this is what I'm saying. Yes, this is what I'm doing. And ors, because of how we talk in English and how we write it, it's just a little confusing. So always double check when you use Boolean operator. But here there are 5 solutions for the same query, right? So it could be expected of you to give more than 1 solutions in an exam, because the aim is that I'm trying to test you on all that I have taught you. Okay, clear? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on Blackboard for you. I'm going to stop here. There are updates and deletes to be done, but I'll do them next week. I'll do the updates and deletes next week because I want you now to do an assignment on select statements, right? So you can take a 20-minute break if you like. I'll open up the assignment for you. The assignment has to be completed. The due time of the assignment is 11 a.m., right? Students were comfortably able to finish it off in an hour yesterday. They got an hour. You have a little more time than an hour, but everybody finished in an hour. If we can finish early, then we can mark it also. You can mark it and you can take your mark and it is done and finished, right? So on Blackboard, under assignments, and then I'll take your attendance, of course. Anything known from students from yesterday's section, then I'll just change the assignment. Nothing? Okay. I'm taking your word. I have to take your word. But definitely I have a student here who has done it with me before. He just left the course in between or whatever. So you may have to talk to me, because assignments and especially exams, I can give you the same ones, right? So you'll have to talk to me. I'll have to do something for you different from the class, because I can give you marks for something that you didn't do right away. So here under in-class assignments, under your they are called in-class assignments, in-class assignments, here is your assignment. So I'm going to just open it for you. So this assignment is based on what you did last week. If you don't have, whether you have it or whether you don't have it, you will use my starting SQL file, because I don't want to again have the same mistakes students did last week. So I have given you my SQL file, right? All I want you to do is fill in your name and your date. I've already commented the others because I want to see you how comments should be given, because I did find a little here and there in it. And unfortunately, I forgot to remove my purpose yesterday, so I'll have to give you with the purpose. So purpose won't have marks, though it says please fill in your name, date, and purpose. I've already filled in the purpose, so purpose won't have any marks, and it is important. And then you have 14 select statements here. You will do each one of them, test them, see that it works, and then do whatever. The only dicey one is 80. I'm just kind of forewarning you, nothing else, right? And it means that I would like to see the names of all the drinks that begin with the letters G through O. G through O means anything that begins with G, like in a dictionary, G, go, God, gone. So as long as it begins with G. Through O means still O. O, oh my gosh, okay, everything. So it starts with G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O. So the drink name starts with either of these 8 characters, starts with, or it could be only called O, it could be only called G, right? And the SQL script I need you to use is this. I don't want you to use any other script, please. For the simple reason that, as I said, I don't want to have different versions of the script. So the script that I would like you to use, again, I've already given it to you on Blackboard. I'll again give it to you here. And we've already discussed this last week, right? So the purpose I forgot, like I forgot to remove it, so I can't kind of ask you to do it. But name and date will, of course, have marks. And then I've written the drop, create, and data use statements for you. I've written the ensure, I say ensure not null because that's what it was used for originally, at least in my scripts. Though, of course, the SQL mode has more uses. So you can just say set the environment and there's nothing wrong. But I've said ensure not null condition is enforced because this not null did not work in older versions of MySQL. You said not null, but you could still give it a null value. So to enforce it, you had to say strict all tables and then it would work. So I always keep it so that I can show it to you. The drop table command you can comment out because it's entirely useless for us. We've already discussed this, and this is also your feedback for your first assignment. So if you are putting 100 here, or you're using a varchar for ice with size 5, you're not getting marks, right? You're losing marks. We've already discussed that, and we don't count. I don't want to use, I've seen some people saying 6 here because they looked at the color. The maximum color size was 6 and they've used 6. We are not going to do all this in thousands of records. We make an educated guess. Either the client tells us or we can find the length of our data. You can say select length, drink name, and you will like the data will be present somewhere. Or if you're typing it in, then your client will tell you, oh, our drinks usually, oh, our drinks are this, this, and this. So you'll get an idea. Their drink names are whatever. But I don't want to see 100 here. I did a little bit of padding of 4. 3,2 is not bad, but 4,2 is better. 3,1 is not bad, but 4,1 is better. But I'm not looking for 5,2 or 5,1. That's not a good fit. A padding means you're giving it an extra space. So there was no drink with more than $10, but I still went to $100. But I'm not going to $1,000. Doesn't make sense, right? So when you get your rubric back and you want to match your marks, just match it with this and you will know where you lost marks. I'm not going to, I am giving my feedback, but sometimes it's so much like one student has made everything a varchar. Like now I can't explain it again that that's not the right thing. I discussed it in class last week. Again, I'm just showing it to you. And I said, don't change the data. Oops, and I've done it. I said, don't change the data when you enter it. So there was an 8.61 and there was a 42.52. I mean, in that assignment here, it really doesn't matter. Even if I change it, it's not a big deal. I said, don't change the data. And then again, a couple of students have removed the extra point themselves. You don't have to. When you say, I want one place after decimal, it will automatically remove it for you. So again, people have changed the data. So everything has marks, right? So this script has been given to you. It should run. It should run. Oops, it doesn't run. You have an error where? I don't know where. Where did I make a mistake? Maybe something was highlighted. Yeah, sometimes if you highlight something, it doesn't run. And then the questions, you will answer them right here below the query. I've kind of put them for you. There could be a little mismatch in the sense I've missed some words or whatever, but I've taken these 14 queries and I've put them for you here. You can again double check with your document, but I may not be complete in the sense, oh, I've just kind of told you what I need, but please double check, right? That what is here is also here. So your job before you leave at 11 a.m. today is this. You will complete this file called drinks2_incomplete. You will change its name to, ICA2, your name, and then submit it via Blackboard. And if you make a mistake, redo it, and redo it. I don't care. I think I've given you multiple attempts. So I think I've given you multiple, and it is due today, which is 31st of May at 11 a.m., which is the time when you finish today, right? So there is the due date. Nothing after that will be accepted. A rubric is given to you if you would like to see it, just so that you know. I've given you unlimited attempts so that you can, excuse me, as many number of times as you like. The last one is what I'll mark for your information. And then, of course, after you're done, I'll make the assignment. It is available for you now. Okay. So there it is. You can take a break of 15, 20 minutes if you like. 1 hour is good enough, I think, for it. And it was done. Students did it in an hour yesterday. They were all finished and done, but we couldn't mark it. I didn't have that extra 15 minutes to mark it. If we can have it today, good. If we cannot have it, we will mark it next week. Okay? Clear? Okay, you can take your breakfast break, and so can I. And then you can start working on this. And I'll pass the attendance sheet around so that you can put your attendance on it. So it's Thursday today. Just mark it and pass it. Okay? Your name as it appears on black, so that I can recognize you on blackboard. So please work independently. This is an independent assignment. If there are any questions to be asked about the questions not being clear, please do so. Otherwise, you're on your own. Get your coffee or whatever you want. It's not a big deal. Mandeep, I would like to talk to you when you are done, okay? Okay, so now about your assignments. As you must have noticed, the assignments are the same, right?
Yeah.
So what have you done before?
So I have submitted like most of the assignments in last semester.
You didn't or you did?
I haven't.
Okay, not even one?
Yeah. No.
Not. Okay.
So I did like um, just a group assignment. I just worked on that, but haven't like submitted
And
most of the work, I think.
And please keep in mind that you will work independently and not take work from anybody else.
Yeah.
Right? Students who have already done it. What about the exam? You did do the exam.
Yeah.
And you have the exam on your laptop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So for the exam, I'll have to think about how to give you something else.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. So so it's like the same pattern from like
The exam thing?
yes, that is the same thing. So I have to like you like uh, inform me like.
So when you do the exam, I'll just make a separate exam for you,
Okay.
which will not be different in complexity or anything,
Okay.
but it will be a different exam.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Thank
Okay.
you.
Has everyone else over here signed it?
Yes, there was a pen also going around.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.